great
Staying
because
safe?
yeah. But my Wi-Fi's been playing up, so let me know
Yeah,
if
no problem.
you can't hear me or I
I can
disappear.
hear you fine.
Oh, awesome.
Is it the same over there?
Oh, what with like lockdown and everyone staying inside?
No, can you see me or not?
Oh no, you're good. It's me.
Yeah,
Like I
okay.
just tried to open up Instagram and it took like 5 minutes. So I was like, oh dear, the Wi-Fi's not great.
It's okay. Thank you for joining us today. Our guest, guys, is Mariah May. If you don't know, she's from the UK, up-and-coming superstar wrestler. She's awesome. Check out her matches and her YouTube page on YouTube, Mariah May. So we're going to jump right into the interview here, if that's okay with you.
Of course, yeah.
Awesome. So first question for you. What or who inspired you to become a wrestler?
I mean, I've always loved wrestling growing up, like ever since I was a child. I always watched wrestling, but I guess specifically like the people who stood out in my childhood were Mickey James, Jeff Hardy, Trish Stratus. So maybe those three if I had to kind of pinpoint it, but I've always loved it growing up rather than it being one specific person. It's kind of just always been in my life.
Funny story for you. Trish Stratus lives 20 minutes from me. Yeah, she does. She shops at the Michaels near me. She shops at, so it was crazy. That's just a funny story for you. Yeah, she was inside me. So
that's amazing.
Crazy. Okay, so how did you find the wrestling scene in North America compared to the United Kingdom? How do you compare the two in the wrestling world?
Well, I've never actually wrestled in America, so I can't speak for what it's like to be a wrestler. But in terms of watching it, I would say the styles are very different. They're kind of merging a little bit, but I'd say the styles are very different. And I think I've actually worked some girls from America, and it's really interesting, the way they learn and kind of the psychology they bring to it is always a little bit different. So it's very interesting to kind of work people who have trained from America, or, it's the same thing if you work someone from Japan. Everyone's kind of got a different kind of school of thought going into it. So it's always interesting to wrestle people from different places because you kind of get a whole new perspective on it. The one thing I would say maybe about American wrestling in terms of just being a fan is I feel like there's a lot more of it, and the entertainment value of it is a lot higher in terms of like the production. I mean, obviously it's got AEW and WWE, it's got the really, really big brands, but I would say generally that's one thing I've noticed is just the kind of phenomenon of it. Like all the conventions and all that kind of stuff is a little bit bigger, maybe, just to kind of notice one thing, but yeah.
Yeah, but the growth, I mean, for wrestling today feels like the 90s. Everybody's into it. Everybody's watching it. I feel like it's growing all over the world. Like I watch NXT UK because I have it accessible to me. So I watch that all the time. Some of my favorite stars are on there. So I feel like the growth is incredible. And now, so I'm going to jump to you and Lana Austin, your Lana Austin match. How was that? Because I'll be honest with you, I've been following you both for the past few years, and now that I see you guys climbing, it's awesome. So I really wanted to ask that question. How was your match with Lana Austin?
I was so excited for it because like Lana is, she's been doing this for a while, so I've always really, really wanted to work her. Like I've always looked up to her a lot because she's been around for a long time, and when British wrestling, like you say, NXT UK, it's gotten a lot bigger in recent years, but she was here before it ever was that way and kind of like helped lay the groundwork for it. So I was very excited to wrestle her because she's so experienced. I felt like I was going to learn a lot. And I felt like we had a really, really good charisma when we were in there. Like, it's one of my favorite matches because I felt like, I'm so new. So every time I wrestle, my like primary goal is to be better than the last time. And I felt like with her, it was like a significant step up because we had a really good charisma together. And I felt like we told a story, the crowd were really into it. And that is, that's what our job is to get the crowd kind of into it. So, the crowd were really into it. And I felt like it was a really big step for me in terms of that aspect, which is something when you're new, you kind of, I remember my first few matches, it's hard to interact with the crowd. Like they're behind you, they're nice and, they're rooting for you, but it's harder to engage with the crowd when you're new because you're nervous and you're thinking about everything else. You're thinking about wrestling and what's next. And it's hard to kind of relax into it. So I feel like at that point in my career, I was coming along a little bit and I was starting to work the crowd, and then having someone who's so good at it, it really lets you kind of have that time and you have to kind of step up to match what they're giving. So I felt like it came at a really good time because it kind of forced me to step up a level, particularly in crowd work. But even just the wrestling match itself is one of my favorites because I feel like for being so early on, it really, really helped me grow and come along because she's so experienced.
Yeah, your guys' chemistry was there. It clicked. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Not so many people click like that. And I'm being honest. And the way you guys clicked against the ropes, the bumps you guys took, it was awesome. I watched it a few times. I'll be honest with you. So
Oh.
um, it was amazing job. Amazing job. So who were your favorite wrestlers growing up? Name us 3 or 4 of your favorite wrestlers and why.
Mickey James for sure. Like,
Yeah.
she's someone who really stands out to me from my childhood. Because obviously growing up, like I still, people kind of shame the divas and stuff. But growing up to me, I love Jeff Hardy, I love the guys wrestling. But I was a girl. Like I wanted to be a wrestler, so I wanted to see the girls wrestle. And Mickey James is someone I remember. She like really went in and actually wrestled, and she was always the underdog and stuff. And I always rooted for her. And I remember when she finally beat Beth Phoenix for the women's championship. I tell the story a lot, but I literally remember watching it because obviously in the UK it's on really late, and I was really young, so I would watch it before school on the Tuesday. And I remember going to school and like, telling everyone about it. And none of my friends even watch wrestling, so they're like, "What are you talking about?" But I was just so happy. So she really left a mark on me, and I would say is one of the reasons why I love it so much, because if I wasn't into it as a kid, would I be into it now? Would I have rediscovered it and got back into it? So she's one of the people that kind of lit that passion for me, and looking back now, it's someone I aspire to be in terms of the effect she had on me and how much she was able to kind of make me like fall in love with her and root for her and want to be her, you know what I mean? Like as a kid, you want to be John Cena or you want to be Mickey James. Yeah, so I mean, definitely as a kid, and now from a different perspective, she really inspires me. Definitely Jeff Hardy. I mean, a lot of people say that, but he just had so much charisma. There was just something. Maybe it's because he did all the cool flips, but for me, I just always really liked him. And I actually remember as a child getting so nervous when he used to go up to do the flips. Like, I think he literally climbed the stage to do like a swanton on Randy Orton. I might be incorrect. There's something like that. And I remember watching as a child and being so nervous and like, don't do it, don't do it. But, he was always someone that I really, rooted for growing up. And then obviously Trish, I just love Trish, and she just got so much charisma. And I guess that's what it is. Like, as a kid, you don't know why. You just like them. But then when you're older, you're like, oh, it's because, they had a lot about them. But, Trish now as well, like, I used to do a bit of modeling, and I find, like, some people kind of judge me for it in wrestling. They're kind of like, almost like I don't deserve to be here because I model as well, which is so silly because I was a wrestling fan before I was ever a model. But Trish kind of had the same thing because she was a wrestling fan, and she did a couple of like podcasty kind of interviewee hosty jobs. But because she was obviously predominantly, a model, that's how we all know her as Trish the model. She came in as a model and kind of learned on the job. I felt like she kind of got that judgment, and now she's like one of the most memorable female wrestlers of all time. And it's kind of like she shattered everyone's perceptions and proved everyone wrong. So like for me now, I'm kind of like, Trish can do it, you can do it, because I kind of get a little bit judged for modeling for some reason. So,
everybody judges, right? So,
yeah, it's one of those things you just have to prove them wrong,
Yeah, if you got the skill, which you do, you have the fan base, you have the following. Like, we're in Canada and we're in Toronto, we follow you. So, like, you're known, right? So, if you have the skill and you put in the work, like Cody says, you do the work, and you're going to make it. So, you know what I mean? Stay positive and keep going. People love you, and that's all that matters, right? You do the work, and you're very talented in the ring. So, it's hard for people to ignore you when you're that talented in the ring. So we'll move to the next question, all right? Where'd you grow up in the UK?
So I've actually moved around a lot. I grew up in London, moved around different places in London a lot, moved to Australia for a year when I was younger. I actually don't know why. Everyone's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. We just did. And I think my family didn't really like it. So we came back. And now I live kind of more in the countryside. So I live in like Hatfield. I don't know if people know where this is in America. I live in like more the countryside bit, but it's still like kind of close to London, like the city. So it's quite a good mix because it's like quiet enough, but not too far away from like life. But yeah, I literally moved around a lot growing up. Like I've probably moved like houses 10 times.
Wow. How did that impact your career for wrestling?
I don't know. I mean, where I am now is really good because obviously I didn't want to start training until I was 18. I kind of wanted to, as much as I did want to do it when I was like 16, 17, I was like, I think it's best to wait because I know what will happen. I'll be at school and want to wrestle. And do you know what I mean? Like I was like, let me just wrap up this chapter, finish school, and then like move on to the next thing in my life. But where I'm now is quite good because, like I say, I'm quite close to London. So there's like two really good schools in London, like one kind of outside, and then there's a lot of schools up north, which is really far from me. But I've got like 3 near me that are really good and have like a really good name. So like in terms of wrestling, it's actually good that I landed here and we stayed here because it's like I'm kind of close to all the schools, so like a good amount, like 3 schools is very lucky to be close to 3 schools, so
Yeah.
I wound up in a good place.
We got one down here, Battle Arts. Santino owns it. Santino. Oh. It's crazy. So the next thing is name some of the places you have wrestled in the UK, and how was your experience there? So how was your experience with your first few matches?
So my first few matches were actually at my school, which was, comforting because it was like, you're with your peers.
Your home base.
Yeah, like you're with people that you kind of trained with. You're all in it together because this is all of our like kind of second or third match, and then usually you're wrestling someone more experienced. Like I got to wrestle Nina Samuels, who's on NXT UK, which is amazing. Like I always enjoy getting to wrestle her, and I got to wrestle someone called Chikara, who's like a really big name over here, and she's very experienced. We're really good friends now, so yeah, I was very lucky with my first few matches. They were kind of at my like home, I guess you could say, with my peers, people that I kind of came up with, and we were all feeling the same thing. So that was a really good experience. And then I kind of started to take other bookings and travel around the UK, and I really enjoyed all of them. It was more fun when I started traveling with people, because when I was traveling alone, it was kind of scary because I remember once I wrestled in Cheshire, so it was like 5 hours from me, and I had a really old car. And so, like, it's not the best car in the world. So I was, like, always in fear that it would break down. My phone was broken, so it would always die. And I remember being on the motorway, being stuck on the motorway for 2 hours. And then, because the car had broken down, and they obviously can't, like, get it out the way. And it was rush hour, and my phone died, and my phone was a sat-nav. And so, like, I actually had to use road directions, which I find incredibly difficult to use. Like, I never, ever used them in my life. But I remember literally being in this car, sitting there panicking for like a good hour. Like my phone was dead. I'd already been there for an hour. I thought my car was going to break down because it was so hot as well. And like my car didn't do well in the heat. And like I just remember thinking, if there's someone else here, we'd have a phone, we'd have like help. But like I was so panicked. But I just went to like a kind of one of those petrol stations and like charged it and like did my makeup in the petrol station and then went to the show. But that was the only like experience I've had where I've been a bit like kind of scared. But apart from that, I've always really enjoyed it. And I actually when I was traveling alone as well, I really felt a sense of like achievement, and like I've done this for myself, by myself. Like I've got this booking independently, like not because of where I've trained, not because of people I'm friends with or anything. Like I've gone out and got this myself. I've gone there, I've wrestled, got the feedback, and put my name out there, and I've come back and I've done that for myself, which I was really proud of as well, and my parents were always asking, oh, where have you been? And I used to like tell them all these different things. They're like, oh, like that's great, like you're wrestling everywhere. So I've always really enjoyed wrestling around. And actually, before everything got cancelled because of COVID-19, I was meant to wrestle in Germany, I was meant to wrestle in Finland, in Wales. So I was actually about to like go international, but unfortunately it got kind of cancelled because of everything. Hopefully it's something that will happen in the future. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed traveling around. I've been to quite a few places in the UK now, and I've always had a really good experience. Apart from the car incident, I've always had a pretty good experience.
Well, it should all go back to normal. Yeah, I hear that from everyone I interview. Is they had so many bookings that were explosive bookings like yourself, and it's like it's a hard time, right? But I'm sure it will go back to normal, and when it does, those shows will run, and you guys will be there. The fans can't wait, the wrestlers can't wait, so it's a little irritating with COVID-19, but hopefully we get past the worst and we move. We look towards the future, right? So hopefully that'll come sooner than later. Your dream opponent. Who's your dream opponent?
Oh, do I have to pick one? Because
I'll give you two, but you have to give me 2 different matches.
Oh. Okay, I'll pick like someone from the past.
Trish is in here.
Hi, Trey. I mean, my dream match is Trish.
There it is. It's the dream match. She popped in as your dream match. Stratus popped in as I ask.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I would say Trish, obviously, like I explained before. I feel like she really, improved so much and really proved everyone wrong. Because she kind of got that judgment of being a model, and that's kind of what I get. And I feel like her passion for it and her hard work proved them wrong. So that's kind of my story. So I feel like to kind of merge the two would be a really good match.
Well, do it. It's in there.
Yeah.
I want to be the announcer, please. Can I be the announcer?
Yeah.
I live down the street from you.
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
So okay, and where would you wrestle Trish? WrestleMania, Double or Nothing, SummerSlam. Where would be the main picture for you?
WrestleMania, but in the UK.
In the UK.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pushing it, but I like it.
I'm not asking for a lot.
Chase the dreams. That is awesome. And who would your other be?
So my current, I think, would be Sasha Banks, just because as I was kind of just starting training, that's kind of when the Divas Revolution happened. So it was like Sasha and Charlotte and Becky. And for me, like, I just fell in love with the way that Sasha wrestled. That was kind of the bar I set myself, and I still set myself. So I feel like in that respect, I would love to wrestle her. I think I would learn a lot from her, but I feel like I've always looked up to her from when I kind of started wrestling. And I like how she kind of came in and changed the game. So for me, I'd really like to wrestle Sasha as well. I'm not asking for too much.
No, just Trish and Sasha. Well, let Trish join, so you can't say it won't happen, right? So, all right, let's move on here. How do you feel about the growth of wrestling? So the growth of wrestling over the last few years is skyrocketing, especially with AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, WWE, NXT with Triple H. They're doing a fantastic job there. How do you feel about the growth?
I mean, obviously, it's great as a wrestler and as a fan, because as a fan, it's more wrestling to watch, it's more women's wrestling to watch, which we were very limited with before. So for that respect, it's really good. But for a wrestler, obviously, it's amazing because it means more opportunity. Like, you know, it's grown so much in the UK, which I love, because it means you get to wrestle every weekend, and that's how you're going to get better. And that's how you're going to get your name out there and do what you love, is by doing it all the time. So the fact that it's grown so much, it means it has actually grown so much in the UK, and where there was only maybe one women's match on the card, there's now two. So there's that extra slot, there's that extra opportunity, because it was tough before. And like I say, when I've wrestled women who maybe have been doing it for like 7-8 years, that's what they would always say to me when I ask about it. They're always like, you know, when I was starting up, it was so tough to even have one women's match. They might not even have one women's match on the card, because there'd be like one girl in that area who could wrestle, and they wouldn't pay a girl to come in. So it's like, now the fact that there's like multiple matches on the card, like, it's almost like you don't realize how lucky you have it until you kind of speak to people who were there before in the UK, and they kind of say, look, we didn't have this before, like, you know, you're really lucky. And hopefully it can continue to grow, because like I say, we might have 2 matches on an 8-match card, so it'd be good if we can continue to kind of push for that. And I know I'm speaking specific about women, but I think because it's grown so much in the UK and there's more shows and there's more schools popping up, it means that more girls are actually like, okay, there's a school like half an hour from me, maybe I should go for this dream. Whereas before it was like, it's daunting as a girl because there aren't as many girls, and then also like, oh, I've got to travel like an hour or 2 hours all on my own and go to the school. Whereas now it's like, oh, you've got like 3 all around you. You've got 3 different environments, different coaches, different groups of people. So you've got 3 kind of opportunities to find somewhere comfortable for you. And like I say, I know your question was kind of about wrestling in general, but I think specifically in the UK, as a wrestler and as a trainee, that's kind of where like I've seen it really like pay off. But I mean, obviously as a fan, it's great because you have so much different wrestling to watch. You've got so many different styles, so many different people. So it's awesome.
Well, that's the big thing, right? Like, indie wrestling, even women, like, they're known as superstars now. So like, everyone calls you guys superstars. That's huge, right? And you guys deserve it. Women steal the shows now. Becky, like in WWE, right? Becky Lynch is one of the hottest things right now. So it's incredible, and I love it, and I can't wait to see what the future holds, especially when COVID-19's gone, hopefully soon. So name some other wrestlers you've worked with, and how was the chemistry with them?
So definitely, I think Nina Samuels, it would be like amiss of me not to talk about Nina Samuels, because she was my debut. You know, and I trained for a year before I made my debut, so there was a lot on it, you know, a lot of pressure, a lot of like a year of anticipation for this. And, you know, I just wanted it to be like a solid match. I wanted it to really kind of show the hard work that I put in, and I couldn't have asked for someone better than Nina, because, you know, she's been doing it for years. She's so experienced, and she really brings out the best in people she wrestles, because, you know, I went back and I've watched her matches, and, you know, you'll see it on NXT UK. She, you know, she makes people look like superstars, and she's always looks like a superstar herself. So it's like, I couldn't have asked for a better first match, and I felt like we had a really good story. I mean, she's a fantastic villain. And then I got to wrestle her again for my 10th match. And again, we kind of continued on her story. And then my last match, actually, before everything kind of got shut down, was actually against Nina. It was like my 39th match. It was against Nina, and I finally beat her. But she's definitely, I'd say, one of, if not my favorite opponent, just because I always learn. You know, when I'm with her, I always learn. She'll always give me really good feedback, helpful feedback that I can really take and apply to what I do. So definitely Nina. One of my other favorite opponents is a girl called Monica. She's an Italian wrestler, but she wrestles in the UK quite a lot, and I wrestled her at All Star. And All Star is a really good promotion because I feel like you learn so much from wrestling there, because they run for like a week or 5 weeks or 6 weeks straight at a time. So you'll literally be wrestling every day because they do the kind of school holidays.
Okay.
So I wrestled Monica for literally a week straight in tag matches and single matches. And that's when I really kind of learned how to work the crowd and really kind of take my time with it, get the reaction from them. And we had a really good chemistry. Like, again, another fantastic villain. And we just had a really good chemistry. And she's so lovely. Like, we just, you know, traveling with her, which, like, I couldn't have asked for a better person to spend the week with. And she's more experienced than me. So, again, just, like, learning so much from just working her constantly. Okay. So definitely Monica and Nina. But I've wrestled some really great people like Candy Floss, Jakara, so many lovely girls, like, all over the UK. I don't think I've ever wrestled anyone and felt like horrible about it. So I've always learned with all the opponents that I've had, whether it be one thing or 10 things, I've always learned. And that's, for me right now, is the most important thing.
That's awesome. As long as you're learning, that's amazing. It helps your growth. So that's awesome. Thank you. So we have 2 more questions. One of them is one I picked because I noticed you're playing Animal Crossing. How was that game? How was the game on the Switch? And just tell us a little bit about it.
So I'm like obsessed with Animal Crossing. I played it a lot growing up. If you don't know what it is, it's basically like you live with animals and you're like in charge, I guess. You kind of have to pay, you have to make money and like pay for like the land and the town to kind of improve to anyone who doesn't play it, and you pay off your mortgage. So it's basically real life in the game. I don't know why. It's just, so yeah, you live in like an island, it's deserted, you kind of like bring it to life, make it themed, you know, become friends with the different animals or not friends with them. You pay off a mortgage. It's kind of like a simulation kind of game, but it's just very cute and like pretty to look at. So I play that a lot, but I find it's very relaxing. Like I was really sick at the start of all the lockdown and I actually got Animal Crossing and I was so ill and I couldn't play it. And I remember after I was ill, like I was so anxious because I was really starting to register that like we were all stuck in and there was no wrestling. And, you know, I think everyone had that initial kind of like panic and fear, but I found like playing Animal Crossing was just really relaxing. Like it's a very relaxing game. It's very soothing, you know, everything, like all the music, the aesthetic, I think it's on purpose. It's meant to be quite like a relief kind of game compared to like maybe Call of Duty or something like that. So I actually found like it really, yeah, it really like kind of just help calm me down and just like relax, because there's nothing any of us can do really apart from just listen to what we're told to do, which is stay inside really. So there's nothing you can do. You might as well just relax, and playing that really helped.
Or buy all the toilet paper. That really calmed everybody down. So, right? So, I don't know, but you can play Animal Crossing or go buy toilet paper.
Or stockpile toilet paper. I would play Animal Crossing, guys.
I'm a Pokemon guy, so I never really played Animal Crossing.
So I love Pokemon, like I always played it growing up, but I remember the first one that came out on the Switch, I know there's another one now, the first one that came out on the Switch, I actually got my Switch for Christmas and it came with the Pokemon, Eevee, like Let's Go Eevee.
Yeah.
And I was really disappointed because you can't actually battle the wild Pokemon. Do you know what I mean? You can't. So like when I played them growing up, you would literally battle every Pokemon you came across, but on this one you've got to just like throw a Pokeball at them, and I was kind of like, oh, like, I don't know. I don't want to be picky. Like I hate to complain about things, and you know people work really hard on these things. So like I did enjoy it, but I've never like really completed it or gone too far into it because I really like missed that aspect of it, and I didn't realize
that aspect of the game.
Because I started it and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing! Like the graphics, all of it, like it's such. And I was just really disappointed about the lack of Pokemon battles.
So they did it like Pokemon Go. That's why you have to throw the ball, because in Pokemon Go on your phone, you throw the ball. So they put in that aspect of the game instead of the battling. Yeah, I did miss the battling, I'll agree with you, but I did love the game. overall. And I do have a Bulbasaur tattoo, but don't tell anybody. But don't tell anybody that. So final question. What was it like backstage, your first match? So your first match ever, what was it like before you went out to the ring?
So I was surprisingly really calm. I don't know how. I just feel like because I did a lot of theatre growing up, so I'm used to that kind of like, preparation, sitting backstage, waiting to go out in front of loads of people. And what I always found is I'd always just be like dead silent, like just sat there like this. And especially with my first, I was so like internally nervous, but I guess I was just really just quiet and like looked really relaxed. But people would come up to me like, "You okay? You nervous?" And I'm just like, "No, I'm fine." Like just trying to like keep it cool, keep it cool. And I remember people asking me like, like, "Hey, you ready? You ready? You ready?" And I kind of feel like it's coming from a good place, but almost like, when someone's nervous and everyone's like asking them stuff, it like makes it worse. So for me, I was just like in my head, like, just bring it down, just stay calm. And yeah, it was, do you know what, though? It was really nice, my debut, because it was actually the school that I was training at was the first show that they'd ever done. So it was quite a few people's debuts. We had some really, really good people coming in, like I say, Nina and a couple of other people who were super experienced coming in to kind of wrestle the new people, which was great. And it was a really good atmosphere because it was a really good house. Like, it was a lot of people out there, a lot of family, a lot of friends. And backstage, it was like our first show, and like we'd really done it together because, we did all the flyering, all the promoting, and really like, it was really like put together from all of us. Like, we all tried to like chip in and make it happen. So it was a really nice atmosphere to kind of have my debut in, because a lot of people were in the same boat, and it was like our first show, so we all kind of felt like a sense of like, you wanted it to go well, like you all wanted it to go really well. So it was a nice atmosphere. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. Hopefully we can do it again. This was fun. Our guest, Mariah, we're signing off. You can say bye to everyone.
Bye.
And thank you, Trish, for joining, and hopefully we can get you that dream match.
Yes,
all right?
Please.
All right.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Dom twos.